So are you excited to see what VRYYF's revenue is going to be for 2020? Well, we've been waiting several months now to find out what the results will be. Later this month, we're finally going to get the results. Guys, welcome to the PlantStock channel. My name is Jesse if we haven't met yet. And on this channel, we focus mainly on plant-based stocks and companies. So what kind of revenues do I expect from the Very Good Food Company? Well, before we get to that, I wanted to find out what kind of revenues you expect. And that's why I gave you a poll yesterday, and the results is this. And most of you thought or think that the Very Good Food Company is going to have a revenue of around $10 to $15 million. But you might be surprised to know that I will actually revise my former statement regarding what kind of revenue I see for them. So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. But also, we're going to, in the end, talk quickly about the Rupert Facility and what kind of revenues to expect from that. And if the current revenues that I've talked about is maybe too bullish. So stay tuned. And as always, if you really want to help me out, I would really appreciate an early thumbs up since it does help the channel grow. And if you aren't already part of this channel, make sure to subscribe if you want to get more information regarding the Very Good Food Company and other plant-based companies. I really appreciate your help. For several months now, I've been blurting out that I believe that the Very Good Food Company might get a revenue of about $10 to $15 million for 2020. But the interesting thing is, a couple of days ago, I got a very pleasant comment from one of my subscribers who said that he really appreciated my channel, but when it comes to my current expectation of the yearly revenue, he felt that I was way too bullish. And when I read that company, it suddenly struck me, I actually think he is right. I mean, why $10 million? And that's when things actually starts to get pretty weird. And why is that? Well, I've really kept up to date when it comes to this company. It's kind of my job now, right? Since June, July, I've read every article that's come out. Basically every article. And I've seen the different quarterlies. And I've seen the numbers, right? What kind of revenues they made. If we take a quick look at them now. Now, if we first take a look at their Q2 that came out in September, we could see that they had a revenue of around 1.1 million Canadian dollars, right? 1.1. Now that's for 3 months, right? It's a quarter. And if we take a look at the next one that came after that in Q3, we could see that it was around $1.4 million. A great improvement there, around $300,000, but it's still 1.4 million for another 3 months. And then when we take a look at one of the reports from December, when they talked about record monthly sales, right? VRYYF achieved a new record for monthly sales in November 2020 for around $800,000, which was an increase with almost 600% year over year. And then the recent news that we got from March 31, we could see that they had their best sales record ever, right? Which was around 1 million Canadian dollars, which is really huge, right? This was their best ever now in March. And that got me thinking, well, where did I get that they would have a revenue for $10 million then, or $15 million? That's what we're going to talk about now. So why 10, you may ask? Well, the truth is, now when I've been thinking about it, it's different sources that I've been looking into, right? But it's specifically a couple of YouTubers, specifically one very famous YouTuber, very big YouTuber who's huge in the investment space. A person I respect a lot that actually a couple of months ago talked about potential revenues for the Very Good Food Company being $10 million, right? And this person has an incredible track record. No, it's not Jeremy, just so we stand straight on that. And that's what's so interesting here, right? Because I had read all the numbers during the year. I saw the different revenues, but it was still those numbers of 10 million that I heard from this YouTuber and seen on other sources, that was imprinted in my mind, right? Even though those numbers didn't add up with everything I've seen for 2020 so far. Now, how did this happen? Well, knowing myself, probably some form of stress, but also when I get really passionate about something like this channel, I tend to just, work, producing the videos, getting into everything, and some details around that I at the moment don't see as important might actually be blurred out. When it comes to the Very Good Food Company, for me, its current values, its current revenues isn't that interesting, right? Because I'm talking about long term. I'm talking about the future revenues in 5 to 10 years from now. Even only 1 to 2, 3 years in the future, we'll see a huge difference, right? So I'm talking about the future expansion, the production capacity that's actually improving now as we speak, and the overall demand of its product. Those are the kind of things that are constantly in my mind. But that was the problem here, right? That's the reason why the 10 million thing that I heard, it felt like it made sense. I had a huge respect for this guy. And instead of just like going back, looking at the numbers again, I just stuck with it. It just imprinted in my mind, right? And I just want to take this opportunity to apologize if anyone feels that I've led you astray. Wasn't really my intention. Granted, we still don't know what kind of numbers we're going to see now in a couple of weeks. But just to make sure, I just want to say I don't actually see them getting $10 to $15 million at this moment. And the reason is because if these last quarters are any indication, right, I actually see them more between $5 to $7 million, like my subscriber actually suggested. That makes a lot more sense. Now, if they get higher, great. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't change anything because already when I thought it might be around $10 to $15 million without considering the numbers that I had seen several occasions, I felt like, well, that's pretty low numbers. And it wasn't so strange because it's a really small cap company. But obviously, even if it's lower, it doesn't really change anything with the fundamentals. Now, the revenues are going to be extremely different considering the Rupert facility that is online as we speak and the Patterson facility going online in a couple of months from now. So I do expect a whole different kind of yearly revenue in a year from now. That's for sure. But even if we just looked at the Victoria facility, which is basically the facility they've been working at now for a couple of years, even if they only had that to work with for the year ahead, right now they got 1 million in revenue. And there's nothing that actually suggests that that's going to change, right? So if we would consider 1 million now, and maybe they'll probably be doing better and better, and if the facility could actually handle it, and I think they can probably handle a little more, that would mean that in a year from now, we would probably have numbers anyhow around $12 to $15 million, right? If not more than that, who knows? But we don't have to worry about that because I do expect that those numbers are going to be way more than 12 to 15 million, considering the Rupert facility being online now. But this actually takes me to the other thing that we were going to discuss now in the end, which is the Rupert facility and what kind of revenue we can expect in the coming years. And remember, I always talk long term. And that is that there was another person who actually a couple of days ago commented on my projections of the Rupert facility. I talked about that I do believe that we'll see millions and millions of dollars just from the Rupert facility in itself, obviously long term. Now this person felt that my speculation was way off. And he meant that he had heard CEO Mitchell Scott in an interview in September stating that when it comes to the Rupert facility, he would only expect top line $60 million. I think he meant that would be the maximum per year. I could be wrong. Maybe he meant in the beginning only. But that's basically what he argued. And I couldn't understand that at all. That doesn't make sense to me, right? So I've said that it'll probably be around $300 to $400 million in revenue per year when it's at max production, probably a couple of years from now, but still. But looking at it from a $60 million perspective doesn't make sense at all, considering that the articles that have come out from the Very Good Food Company, where CEO Mitchell Scott keeps talking about the 37 million pounds production per year, and then saying later that they're only expecting to get 60 millions like maximum from this facility, doesn't make sense at all to me. Mind you, don't get me wrong here. I really want people to comment, not only about positive things. I want them to challenge me. I like that, because if you tell me things that I might be off on, we'll learn from each other. That's important to me in every way. So please continue commenting, and even if we don't agree with each other, it's the best way to learn, right? But on this aspect, I'm not backing down. I actually asked for the link to the interview where Mitchell Scott should have said this. I haven't gotten it yet. I might get it. And maybe it is possible that he stated that, but like with most growth companies, things change, right? Expectations change. And I wanted to feel more secure about what I've been talking about. So yesterday, I actually emailed the Very Good Food Company to let them tell me what they actually expect from the Rupert facility. And this is what they said. Quote, "I unfortunately cannot provide you with any projections or forward-looking information." I'm good with that. "Although, as the Rupert facility comes online and increases its production to 37 million pounds growth can be expected." In other words, they do believe that they're going to reach that growth. I don't know when, but that means that we can expect several $100 million in revenue. That would just make sense, right? Now, I know we have to think about bias here, right? I'm contacting the company, the Very Good Butchers, and I'm asking them to give me some projections here. And even though it's their company, they might want to, lift up themselves. It looks better. It makes people want to invest more. But honestly, if you look for other sources on the net, there are some other analysts who actually projects the same thing. So I feel better about that. And also, when it comes to this CEO and management team, they keep delivering on what they've been talking about. So when they've set a goal, they have kept delivering so far. So I feel I trust in him. Folks, let's have some interaction here. What do you think? What kind of expectation do you see here? Let me know down in the comments. I'm really interested to hear. So to wrap this up, yes, it might be less revenue than I initially stated, right? But that doesn't change anything. Again, nothing has changed fundamentally. We know the reason for why we might get those low numbers, if it is 5 to 7 million or something more than that. We don't know yet, but we know what the low numbers are dependent on, and that is that they haven't been able to meet the demands, because the facility couldn't produce more than what people wanted, which is a really good problem to have as a company, right? So, and this is changing as we speak with the Rupert facility going online. But again, no fundamentals, nothing has changed with the company. So I was off on the numbers, maybe, we'll see, but I probably think I am. So 5 to 7 million is a low number, but still, in the years ahead and a year from now, we're going to see a fundamentally huge difference when it comes to revenue. Of that, I am sure. Well, folks, that was it for today. I truly hope you got some value in today's video. And if you did, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to be part of the channel, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell button, right? And again, I apologize for maybe being wrong about the revenues. I hope I didn't hype the stock in that way. Not that I think I could do that, being such a miniature channel compared to others. But again, for me, it's about being consistent and trying to find some kind of truth, some kind of line to follow. So I hope you appreciate that. And as always, people, this was not financial advice. This was just my own opinions and thoughts. It's important to always do your own due diligence and invest safe. Peace out.